when you put out an idea together and just be like, oh, this is going to work, I'm going to build a company and this is how I'm going to do it. I mean, it's an idea. It might work, it might not work, right? So that moment when you get paid, even if it's $1, the fact that your idea, the thought that you put together has produced something makes you a feeling of achievement.
Aduu Solar Engineering is disrupting the permit planset industry with an American-based company founded by two engineers, both immigrants from Ethiopia. Today I bring you Kiya Segni, co-founder and CEO of Aduu Solar Engineering, to discuss what allows them to offer a concierge, white glove service at a low cost and fast turnaround, all the while offering super high quality permit plansets for the residential solar market. My guest today is Kiya Segni. Welcome to the show, Kiya.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on your show. I've been a long listener of your podcast, and it's my turn, I guess, to be a guest, and I'm really honored, and thank you very much.
It's so great to meet immigrant entrepreneurs like yourself, and you're also very American now. You've been in the United States for over 10 years, and it's just great timing, and that's one of the things that is unique and special to entrepreneurship, is that you can have the best technology in the world, but if the timing isn't right, you can spend a lot of time and energy trying to get something off the ground. But the timing is right. The residential solar industry is scheduled to triple in the next 5 years. We're going to go from 3.6% to upwards of 33% of rooftops that are solarized in the U.S. in the next 10 years. And that is just incredible. We're talking 60% year-over-year growth for the next 5 to 10 years. So in your words, though, Kiya, give our listeners a little background on yourself. How did you come to the U.S. and how did you come to start Aduu Solar Engineering?
Thank you, Tim. I was born in East Africa, Ethiopia, west side. It's called Oromia region in Nekam city. It's a very rural area. My father is elementary school teacher. My mom is, for most part, stay-home mom. Grew up in that environment and really very low class family. And I had just normal, growing up like any African kid. We didn't make much money, but we always have food to eat. My father made sure that we had food. He tries to do a lot of things to kind of send us to a good school. Even though we did not have that kind of money, my dad kind of sent me to Catholic school, which I think is a really foundation for me and my brothers to have a good foundation in education and interest in engineering and, innovation. So I grew up in that environment, going to church and, just a regular environment. Then I went to school there until I was 18, finished high school. When I was around 7th grade, my father had to flee the country and to come to the United States. He was fired from job. There's a lot of political problems. So he could not provide for his family and his life was in danger. So he had to flee. He got here. And then our life got a little bit better after he got here. Then I finished high school and it's time for me to come to the United States because my father was here ahead of me. When I came to the United States, it's the best thing that could happen to you, especially coming from background and the environment that I was in. It was the right thing that really came to my life, and I saw the opportunity. I was so excited to be in the United States. I was so thankful, and once I got here, I wanted to take that advantage. And I always liked school. When I was also in a school back home, I was one of the top students and scored high in the national exams and all that kind of stuff. So I had a really good educational background, especially my father being a teacher. You can imagine every night I have to be studying and all that kind of stuff. So I got here. After that, Aduu did not come just right away. Growing up, I wanted to become a pilot because from my village, few kids have become a pilots. It's known for some reason, it's known for an area when poor smart kids come out. I don't know, for some reason, I don't know why. So a lot of pilots in Ethiopian Airlines today are from that area. So this guy used to when I was a very kid. He used to show me math tricks and all that stuff when he was in high school. So I was interested in that. So, but when I got here, I wanted to study electrical engineering because the path to become a pilot in Ethiopia is you study electrical engineering, and once you finish that in college, and then you take exam, and then you go to airline school and all that stuff. So when I got here, and I knew that I did not want to become a pilot anymore because I'm in America and anybody can go get a piloting license just in matter of months. But I stuck to the engineering and electrical engineering. So that was the beginning, I guess, of my journey to this. So I went to college, studied electrical engineering at Morgan State University in Baltimore. So my interest in renewable energy started from there. Once I was trying to figure out, engineering, electrical engineering had a lot of aspects. So that's when the love for renewable energy and the technologies that was coming up, everybody's talking about the transition, the revolution, all that kind of stuff. As an engineer, we're talking about batteries, about really like solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, geothermal, biomass, all of this in college. When you study, it's really kind of creates an interest in you to really kind of figure out. So that's when my interest for renewable energy started. I knew that that's going to be a big transition. Like, in human history, there's a lot of, transitions and revolutions, industrial revolution, agricultural revolution, all this, even the dot-com boom. So I knew that for somehow when I was in college, I wanted to go to renewable energy because I saw the potential. It's new, it's coming up. A lot of technologies are coming up. When we were talking about batteries, we were talking about lithium ion, zinc, manganese, all these things kind of fascinated me to really focus on those things. And I graduated. After graduating, I for some reason when I was applying, I did not focus on renewable energy companies. So I had secured a job at Department of Defense as an engineer, and I went to that journey. But deep in my heart, I wanted to be in renewable industry. But when I went to the the Department of Defense, I had really great success in my field, and I was given a scholarship to study my master's, in which I did in cyber engineering. But I didn't want to go to renewable energy, but they gave me an option of, this is what you got to choose from this if we're paying for it.
Let me pause you there. There's a couple things that I want to drill down on a little bit. First of all, you came here as an 18-year-old, and you're still a young man, but it's not easy coming to a foreign country. Tell us a little bit about what that experience was like. Your father was here, so that softened the landing, and maybe he was already connected to the Ethiopian community in the U.S. But what was that like? And then you were pretty quickly then going to school, right? And I'm just curious how those first couple years went.
Yeah, that transition, obviously I was not exposed to this kind of environment. I barely even know the capital city of Ethiopia. I never been there. I went there to get my passport and my visa to come to this country. So I don't have really that city life kind of things. So when I got here, one thing I knew was it was a blessing. I was really like, I appreciated this country. I knew the opportunities in front of me. But when I got here, there's a lot of cultural shock that I had to adjust. And when I went to college, and there's a lot of things, my English was not bad. I communicate with people and all that stuff. But I wasn't that, I don't even consider myself to be very fluent right even now. So I had, it didn't really give me too much trouble, but it was a lot of shocking things that I came across. I'm not exposed to. So, but, always deep in my heart, I had no confusion of who I am and where I came from. And knowing that helped me to work hard and just become a better person wherever I go. And that was the key for me. And I always focused on, working hard and studying hard and all that stuff, because I know the opportunities are abundant. And I had a great success in college and made a lot of friends, adjusted to the country. I connected with a lot of people. It was a blessing, really. Like it's not the way I expected to be. And I'm very grateful for that. And that's an experience that I went through. I didn't have much of really trouble because I'm not in that kind of environment. I came here, I go to school and I work at Dunkin' Donut part-time and I go to church on Sunday. That was my life, and just focus on connecting with students and, interact at the school, just study hard. And that was pretty much about it. And I had a really great college years, and I was top in my school. So that's how I.
So then you graduated with a degree in electrical engineering. You go to work at the DoD of all places. Here you are, a young Ethiopian immigrant working for the U.S. government in the Department of Defense. What was that like?
This is one of the times when it hits you really. Like, I mean, for me, that's why I always say I'm very grateful for this country, first of all, because I'm not I'm not meant to be in this position. Like sometimes when I see in the meetings and, what I do, and even being trusted in for, accessing highly classified information and working for, the security of the country. Cyber is a very, and I working on, all these ballistic missiles. I'm like, I know where I came from. It's really like, this is not meant for me, like, so that's why I'm so grateful. And, when people say in America, if you work hard, and this country is the opportunities is abundant, and this is a land of opportunities. And that's really like, I saw it on myself, because I sit in office, we're making this, designs and all this stuff, and that really would affect the American country and the security of the country. That was like, for me, who is a foreigner, who came at the age of 18, who was not an American. I mean, I became an American a citizen after 5 years, but to be given that kind of opportunity, for me, it's like that's the greatest honor of my life. It's not about the money. It's not about anything. It's not about like, making your career, but just being trusted for that kind of position, to make a decision, to kind of, lead a team. It was such a great thing that has ever happened to me. And I take it as like, the greatest honor of my life, really. Like, even though I'm kind of branching out into like my new career life, but and that's, I always going to be thankful for that, because that's there's no, I don't think there's any place that you can actually achieve whatever you want to achieve if you work hard like America. So that was a very impressive thing as I saw it.
So let's get into Aduu Solar Engineering. I could talk to you all day about your background, but I'm very keen to learn more about the permanent plan set industry. What is it that sparked your, you're getting together with your partner and creating Aduu Solar Engineering?
So when I was in college, I was exposed to a company just as an intern in Baltimore to do over summer just a PV design. I mean, I just went to intern, and it was a very small company. I got through a friend, and then I just wanted to do something over the summer. I wanted because I need to get a job after I graduate. I need to have at least internship. So when I went there, they wanted me to do PV design. They have a team, and just in about I because I wanted to go renewable energy too, so I was already interested in that. When I go and they do this PV design projects, I started designing PV designs. So after 2 weeks, I was designing everything by myself. There's a team. And then by the time I go back, and they wanted to keep me, and I said, I have to go back. I still have one more year to go. And then they're like, okay, we have so one guy quitted. There were two people that were designing, and they're like, could you do part-time? I was like, it's going to be very difficult for me because I have other things. But if you guys let me do from home, and I don't ever have to come to the office, I can just do it on my part-time. And they said like, yeah, sure. And then they gave me their I do the PV design at home after school, all that kind of stuff on the weekends. So literally the other guy quit by myself. I was handling like at least 2 projects a day, going to full-time school and all that stuff. So they didn't want to go to other person. They just, I already knew how to do it. So the whole year I did that. But by the time I graduated, I didn't want to go there because, the pay is not that. I could get more money and maybe even double than what they were paying me, but they were very interested in me to join their team. So I already developed like a year and some change of this PV design, and I know how it works, and I know all the regulations and all of this stuff. And I said, well, in order to start a renewable energy company, it might require me to really have a capital. But if I start with my knowledge and providing this service and put out a team together, and I can provide that, and I think I can do something and I can capitalize on that and just go to the other aspect of renewable energy, then I kind of came with my friend who was also an engineer. So we put this together and we kind of start pitching. The thing is, when I came to this company, I never knew anybody rather than the other company that I was working with in renewable energy. So that was a difficult part. And just, how do I get these projects? I know how to do it. I know how all the CRM, all the system is there, but people don't know me and I don't know people. And that was the hardest thing. But I think slowly we kicked that through. And that's how I'll get into the PV design service overall.
And how did you and Waqgari meet?
Me and Waqgari are, first, our parents are from the same area. We kind of grew up together, I can say. I mean, he traveled a lot in the world because of his parents worked overseas, a lot of places in a lot of countries. I see him as a younger brother. We have done a lot of things before, and we have established different companies in, other things where very became successful. It was not a business company, but a nonprofit organization. So we've been working together for a while. We've been best friends and all that kind of stuff. So it's easy to kind of have that kind of environment where you can read one another and kind of, effectively do work. So that's why I brought him to the team, and then extensive trainings and all that stuff. And we kind of got everything together and we built a team from there on.
Tell us, when exactly did Aduu start and what is the status of the company?
We started in May of 2022. And when we started, we just put out, we prepared our, CRMs and websites and registrations and all that kind of stuff, and put out a team together, a team who was experienced, because we didn't want to bring in trained people. And, because when you're a new company, you have to provide a very good service, because you cannot have a space for mistakes and all that kind of stuff. So we make sure that we put a very competitive team that knows what they do. And we want it to be the best at what we provide. And we put out a team together, a very strong team. And after we put the team together, we kind of start pitching to companies to kind of come under our belt so that we can provide our service. So like I said, nobody really knows who we are. And that was a bit challenge. So then, but luckily we landed on a few companies that really kind of wanted to test us. When they come, they were very interested and impressed, I guess. So they stayed with us. So yeah, that's how we get started. And it's going well. It's going well with all its challenges. And we enjoying the journey, because that's what makes it so interesting, is that the ups and downs is what really makes it interesting for us. So.
And tell me, what was it like getting your first customer?
That's the thing about it. It's like when you put out an idea together and just be like, oh, this is going to work. I'm going to build a company and this is how I'm going to do it. I mean, it's an idea. It might work, it might not work, right? So that moment when you get paid, even if it's $1, the fact that your idea, the thought that you put together has produced something, makes you a feeling of achievement. So, I called more than 500 companies, and I didn't know how to get to them. So I call and be like, hey, we provide a PV design. Are you guys interested? And we can give you 24 turnaround time with good quality and all that kind of stuff. So, some companies are like not even interested to talk, and some of them, so I called more than 500 companies. And then finally we landed on one through just a connection kind of thing. But I also called them and they kind of knew. And they wanted to try us, and they're like, okay, let's see, one project. And then we send them, and they're like, oh wow, okay. And then from there on, and first months, the first week, we did 2 projects or something, and we got paid. And I was so happy, not for the fact that I made money, but for the fact that the idea is actually working. If I can work hard, I can actually build this. This is actually a reality. And that really hit me. I was like, wow. Until that moment, I didn't even know whether I'm going to get a customer. I didn't even know what the customer would say, but I knew that I had a confidence in what I do and the quality that I do, because I'm already experienced. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know other mechanism of how you get these companies and how all these structural things that you need in an institution or a company. That's why I was worried. So we kind of got there, and from there on, and 1, 2, and we're growing. So I'm so happy about where we are, and hopefully we're going to break through.
So let's walk through what are some of the critical aspects of the service that you provide, and what is it that differentiates Aduu from your competition? Let's face it, permanent plansets are considered a commodity by the solar industry, but there's room for improvement. It's and I'm not talking about providing the cheapest service. So what is it that Aduu does, and what can a customer of yours expect when they try you out?
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Being new into the market, when you come as a new company, there has to be a certain things that you are better than the already, the market that the other companies control. We knew that when we come, we cannot be the same as others. So, for example, other companies would say, "Oh, yeah, when they promote it, they say we're gonna have 24 turnaround time." But in reality, they do not provide that. They just, at least 48 hours. So we say that unless we can return within 24 hours, we don't take a project. We don't make too much project so that we cannot return within 24 hours. So one thing is that our turnaround time is 24 hours. In most cases, even less. If you send us early in the morning, you're probably going to get it, after lunch. So we made sure that we give you actual 24 turnaround time, because for installers, the most important thing is that they want to be on the roof, off of the roof very fast so that they can go to the next project. So we don't want to be part of the reason why they delay me for 1 minute. I think that we take that very seriously. That's why we make sure that our team is all, the project is all done, all reviewed, and also customers can see the progress of the project, because when they submit it, it's somebody's working on it, and then when that worker submit it, I'm reviewing it. It's gonna say reviewing, and then after I review it, I deliver it, and then it's gonna show in there it's been delivered. So they know each step of where their project is, because they get on our CRM, they put everything in there, so our communication is very smooth. So there is no here and there email and all that kind of stuff. So that's another thing that we have for our viewers. And obviously, price is another thing. Our price is very, very competitive. Very competitive. It's very instead of hiring an engineer or whoever you pay hourly, if you bring to us, that's going to be even cheaper than hiring somebody just to do your project. So we want to make sure that our pricing is very competitive, and it's compared to other companies out there. And because we are new too, so we got to make sure that we are actually in service better, with the pricing better, and with the communication. Make sure that we want companies to feel that we are part of their team. We're not outsiders or vendors, whoever they come to. We want to make sure that we're part of their company. Their employees communicate with us as they communicate within each other, so that everything is smooth and it's easy for the installers to go through.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Clean Power Hour or viewing it on YouTube. We do have a great YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, please go to cleanpower.group and hit that YouTube icon and subscribe to our channel. Of course, you can find all of our content on your favorite audio platform as well. So please give us a rating and a review. Back to the show. Now you're working in 4 states, and so and you can do designs in 50 states, but you're delivering a product that has to pass muster with the AHJ. This is mission critical. How do you work with your customers to make sure that you're going to have a product that is consistently passing the review of the AHJ?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So all different states and different have different rules, and there is also National Electrical Code. The good thing is our team is comprised of people who have worked in different states. We have that experience under our belt. You bring any design from any state, we can take care of it. And also, we have a guideline put in place for each designer every time they design, where they have to tick and make sure that it's being included and is being verified. So we make sure that we follow all the guides from all the states. As of right now, we're working on 4 states only, but do every state, and we have the capacity and with the knowledge and the experience of doing any state. So we make sure that everything is in place. 100 accuracy is the biggest thing in us, because not only that the engineers, I also review it before submitting, because we want to make sure that we don't want to get for redesigning, because this is going to be submitted for permission, right? So also we do, like, when if there is a return or like redesign, we don't charge people. We do for free when they return. So we don't want to redesign the same product. We want to make sure that everything is neat, clean, and accurate, so that our customers don't get, back and forth with the permission. So those are the things that we really put in place in order to kind of get over that. And so far, I think our customers are very satisfied with our accuracy and the attention that we give to details. Because it's not about, like, doing the project and submitting and just making the money. It's making sure that the customers are happy, satisfied, because that's when we have a business too. So yeah.
When you think about the future of the solar industry, Kiya, and the future of Aduu Solar Engineering, what is your vision for your company, and how does that dovetail with the clean energy transition?
First, I'm just happy that even though it's not a big contribution, and it's I'm just being part of the transition by itself, it makes me happy, to be honest. And obviously, as you may mentioned in the beginning, the renewable energy is gonna, solar especially is gonna really multiply within the next few years. In this year alone, is expected to add more than 47% to the grid energy. So, and I do understand the magnitude of the business potential that is out there in this industry, because we're too early in this business. And there is a lot to work on. As of right now, I want to focus on the PV design, because one thing at a time. I want to make sure that I build a capital and provide and become one of the biggest PV providers in the country. We want to make sure that we are the competitors and companies go-to company for a PV design. Then eventually, obviously, we want to expand to installation for residential, eventually slowly to commercial. It all depends, but one at a time, because if you want to do 10 things at a time, you cannot do one thing at best. So we want to make sure that we provide whatever we give is we are best at it, and we're good. Once we have that under our belt and we feel confident and this is already good, then I have a lot of even EV chargers and all this. Now everybody's talking about the lithium ion battery storage thing, and I'm also learning. I'm too early on this, so there's a lot of learning for me to do. But I do have an idea of where this company is going to go, and hopefully, with God's help, I think we will get there. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping for.
And what do you say to potential team members, young engineers and designers who want to work with Aduu Engineering? What do you say to them?
Well, the installers or the
potential employees.
Oh, sure. I mean, if you're interested in renewable energy, if you would love to be part of this transition of, also saving the planet, by the way. I mean, we might think that our contribution is very insignificant, but contribution is going to be significant when insignificant efforts come together, they become significant. And if you are interested in renewable energy, if you want to work with us, our door is open. We are a team, and the door is open. Really, you can contact me on our website, or on the phone, on the email, social media, LinkedIn, everywhere. You can contact us, and we're willing to work with interested individuals and companies also, if companies are interested, and we are more than happy to provide our service. I promise we're not going to let them down. I mean, I do stand where I say. So
awesome. Well, our listeners can check out your content at Aduu Solar, ADUUSOLAR.com, Aduu Solar. Check out their website, hit that contact page, and reach out to me. I'm Tim Montague. Please check out all of our content at cleanpowerhour.com. Give us a rating and a review, especially a review on Apple and Spotify. That helps grow the podcast and helps others find this content. I want to thank Kiya Segni, the CEO and co-founder of Aduu Solar Engineering, for coming on the show. Thank you so much, Kiya.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for having me. And I really do appreciate this. And hopefully with another environment, another bigger platform, we meet again to talk about Aduu Solar when we are bigger than where we are today. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm Tim Montague. Let's grow solar and storage.